Hey guys, welcome back. Alright, so we've been thinking about this and we're about to modify the hell out of this bumper. When I get done, I'll probably reduce the weight by 75 or 80%. So we're just going to cut the entire bottom of the bumper off. So let me show you. So a long time ago, months ago probably, I marked this out. And you can see the only part we're keeping is this tiny little piece on the top. And I don't remember how I marked it, but I must have done a good job because I haven't been able to reproduce how I did it. Not easily, so I came up with a new idea, and this one works too. So what I did, you can see I took a welding rod, and let me back up a second. So I took just like a tape measure and took some measurements in a few different spots, like how far is this distance and a couple others. I put some marks, and then I got a welding wire, and I basically just taped it on the marks to create a line. Well, you know, right below it, and then I just carried the marker across. And it worked fucking awesome. And once I peel that tape, I can connect the lines and we'll be good to go. So that was actually kind of easy. And this part, I just used a piece of blue tape, as you can see. And I strung it across and then just took my marker and put some lines. And now I'm going to grab a ruler and just kind of connect the dots, so to speak. And that'll be the cut line there. So most of this bumper is going to be gone. I'm kind of looking forward to that. I think it's going to look good. It's going to look more racy. You're going to see a lot of the suspension and tires in the back. And of course, well, yeah, the tires. You're going to see a lot of tire when you cut this bumper off. I think it's going to look good. It's also going to shorten the back of the car a little bit because that bumper pokes back and we're cutting all that section off. So overall, I think it's going to look better. I would like to fill this in, this section here, but I'm not sure how to do that yet. I'd like that to be smooth, kind of like on the NA Miatas. I think they're like that. They have a panel that does that or something. So maybe we'll figure that out, but not for now. For now, we're going to get this finished marking it and cut this thing off. Alright, well, there's no going back now. So we got it cut. Didn't quite get it perfect, but it's pretty close. We did all this with an angle grinder, so a couple of mishaps, but overall looks good. Man, that bumper sits high, but to be fair, the car's sitting high right now. We're not even on the wheels. So the pinch welds are normally, I don't even remember, what, fucking low. And right now it's half a foot off the ground. So hopefully it's going to look better when it's on the ground. But what's going to help is when we get those big tires on here and the diff put in the back and everything. At least instead of just looking at this giant gaping hole in the back, you'll actually see a bunch of cool hardware. So overall, it's going to take some warming up to this. I thought it would look better than it does. So I guess I did check right before I cut it. I was like, hey, what's your backup plan, you know? And the backup plan is I can buy a bumper for about anywhere from $100 to $500, depending on what kind of deal you can find, to get a replacement. So if I don't like it, I can always just buy another and change it. But let's see, maybe it'll grow on me. I still think, like I said, I think when you get all the back end put on, it's going to look a lot better. But right now it's looking kind of empty because, well, I cut all the car off, so there's nothing there. But anyway, hope y'all like that. I'm knocking off for the night because it's getting late. So till next time, y'all take it easy. Hey guys, welcome back. Well, I've been working for a few hours and here's what we got. So this is the rear subframe for the car, and you can see I put these braces or whatever, these mounts in years ago for the Ford 8.8, but I had never painted this thing and it looked kind of rough. You know, it's 20-something-year-old subframe, hasn't had any fresh paint, so it was kind of time. But we got it done, and I just used that Pour 15 chassis black paint, and it turned out fine. It ain't perfect, but it's fine. It looks way better than it did before. We just brushed this on, so pretty easy to apply. Now I did clean it fairly good. We basically took some cleaner and we scrubbed it pretty damn good, and we took rags and water, and we did a couple of rounds of scrubbing to kind of get as much as we could off of this thing. And then I actually took acetone and rags and went over it with that for probably like 20-30 minutes, and an air gun blowing dust off. And like you can see, there's little cavities in here because these subframes, they look heavy, but this is all thin sheet metal folded up. So I blew all the dust out of these cavities, tried to clean it up as much as I could, and then we just painted it and then flipped it and painted the other side. So she ain't perfect, but man, it looks way better. So real happy with that. And the plan is we're about to put this back in the car. We've been thinking about it. We're going to start putting this car back together. So right now the front subframe and the motor's in the car, which is great. We got some stuff coming up here, but unfortunately we're waiting on parts. guess I can give you guys a sneak peek. Remember we talked about that front crash structure? Well, look here. We almost have all the parts for it. So this is the top and the bottom. That's the sheet metal. We got those. That other piece going across there, that follows this front edge. But the piece that goes here, we're still waiting on. Unfortunately, that got hung up. We're waiting on that. And then that piece goes in the rear floor. And that angled piece that goes under it, that's going to be our rear firewall. So we're really just waiting on that one piece, and maybe I ordered some other stuff, I don't remember, for sheet metal. And then all the parts that got machined for the motor. We got a water pump piece, we got the fuel pump piece, we're still waiting on those. They're probably a couple weeks out. So we don't know when we're going to get that. So it's kind of holding stuff up in the front of the car. Also, we're waiting on the gas tank stuff. Haven't got that either. But anyway, got me thinking, I'm like, hey, if we're waiting on that, let's work in the back of the car. So here's our plan. I think I've been thinking about this. So we're going to pop this rear bumper back off, which is just some bolts and screws. Not that there's much left of it. We're going to pull that bumper off, and we can see we got some rust back here. So that floor pan I just showed you, it covers this big space back here. So I want to install it, and it's just going to, it's actually aluminum. So we're going to rivet it to the car, or screw it down to the car. Probably screw it maybe. That way it's removable, or bolted or something. We'll figure it out. Probably just buy some tiny screws. That'll be fine. But this metal's rusty, so we got to fix that. So what we're going to do is we're going to we're going to pull that bumper, get that out of the way, get this tiny chair, roll up in here, get a wire wheel and a drill, and we're just going to clean all the rust off of this local area. And we're going to go ahead and do the wheel wells, because once that floor is in here, it's going to be really difficult to access that metal. So we're going to go ahead and clean all this stuff in this area and go ahead and just brush on some of that Pour 15. Now in the future, we may decide to like spray over that with some different paint. I have no idea. But for now, I have Pour 15. I'm just going to brush some on. It'll look way better than it does now. And at least it won't rust. That stuff prevents rust. As far as the cage goes, these little plates here, I may go ahead and throw some Pour 15 on that. I was planning on doing the whole cage with maybe Pour 15. So, I don't know. We'll see. But we're definitely going to do this metal back here. Just start painting crap, because that needs to get done. And then we're going to put that floor in. And then we're going to build a curved firewall that's going to go across here. And that's going to seal the back of the car up. And once that's done, that floor, mainly the floor, but the floor and the firewall, then we're going to put the rear subframe with the rear diff. And that should be final installed for those components. Once that's done, the front subframe needs to be final installed, which I think I just threw a few bolts in it, but I think the front subframe can stay. So basically we'll get the some of the bolts and bolt that sucker together, and we should be able to start reinstalling suspension components. Now I'll admit, I kind of want to mess with these, but it's going to slow down the build. So I have my blast cabinet working, so I could blast these, but these are front parts because they still got the soft bushings in them. So we'll see. I'd like to paint this stuff. I'd like to sandblast it, but we'll see. I may just clean it and reinstall it. Save that for a future date. If I was being honest, I would like to clean them, so maybe we'll do that. We'll see. One thing I'd like to do is to remove some weight. Like if you look at this piece, there's this giant piece of cast just like sitting there. Stuff like that. I might go around and trim some weight off of these, but we may just leave it, put this crap back together. But yeah, we got to get this back together, and I want to get it back to a rolling chassis. We're really not that far from having a rolling chassis again, and that would make me feel better about the car, because it hasn't been a rolling chassis in quite a while. So that's our plan. Basically, get the rolling chassis, or get back here, get this work done, and go from there. So I'll bring you guys back in a little bit.